When my husband and I were getting ready to declutter 10 years worth of stuff from our house, it felt like such an onerous task and it was really difficult to get started. But it doesn't have to be. The benefits of decluttering far outweigh that initial discomfort in getting going and doing the actual decluttering. So in this video, I'm going to take you through 6 tricks to help you declutter your home fast. So the first tip is to create a decluttering schedule. So before you dive in and start decluttering, it can be really helpful to plan what you're going to do first rather than go about things in a haphazard fashion. Write down all the rooms that you want to declutter and when you're going to do each space. My husband and I had a week off of work, which we hadn't really intended to be a declutter week, but we kind of got started and then we just kept going. And what I found is that I would declutter stuff from one room, move on to the next, but then I would come back to the same room again because I found that there were more things I wanted to declutter. And I don't think this is a bad thing. I think it's good to have a schedule, good to plan out which rooms you're going to do, but be aware that as you go through your decluttering process, your mindset around it might change. At the beginning, it might be quite hard to declutter things and let them go, but as you do more of it, or what I found anyway, was that the further we went into the decluttering, the more willing I was to declutter things that I hadn't been willing to declutter before. I started to recognise more that these were things I just didn't need. The decluttering process might take several weeks or months, depending on how much stuff you have. The important thing I think is to be consistent. Have your plan laid out and stick to it. Number 2 is to get some help from friends or family members if you think they'll be of help. Sometimes my husband, I think, was a bit of an enabler. I was a bit unsure about decluttering something and he was like, well, just hold on to it, you might need it. But what I really needed was someone to be a bit tougher and say, well, do you really need that thing? Is this going to have value for you for years to come, or has it really run its course? Could somebody else get pleasure out of it? What you need is someone objective who will perhaps help you come to your own decisions about what you do and don't want to declutter. The next tip is don't organise your stuff before decluttering. This kind of defeats the object because what you need to do is to decide what you're getting rid of first and then you can organise it. If you start organising things, you might convince yourself, oh, this is okay to keep all these things because they're now nice and neat and tidy. But actually, if you declutter what you don't need, it's probably going to be easier to organise those things and you might not need as much space. Tip number 4 is to remove the friction from decluttering. So what I mean by this is once you've decluttered what you want to declutter, bag it up and put it somewhere where it's going to be easier for you to actually take it to, whether it's the recycling centre or the local charity shop, or if you're giving it to friends or family, put it somewhere it's going to make it easier for you to do that. What I did was we had some black bags of clothes and some odds and ends that we were going to take to the charity shop, and I brought them down from the upstairs and I put them in our living room so that I saw them all the time. So the idea for me behind this was that I would get so annoyed with them being there that I would have to take them to the charity shop because I didn't want them cluttering up the living room. But it was also a visual reminder for me to do that. Whereas if they'd have been upstairs, I would have forgotten about them and it had probably been weeks before I'd got them to the charity shop. Tip number 5 is to pair decluttering with something you enjoy. During parts of the decluttering process, I liked listening to music. It helped to keep me motivated to declutter. At other times, I would listen to decluttering videos on YouTube, so didn't necessarily need to watch them, but I was listening to the tips and the perspectives of the people in the videos. And that really helped to motivate me as well. It helped me to feel a connection with somebody else that was doing the same thing and motivate me that I was doing something that was right for me and was going to make life feel a lot calmer, a lot more peaceful, and that I was doing something good, not only for me, but hopefully for other people who were going to benefit from the things I was decluttering. Decluttering can be challenging mentally and emotionally, especially if some of the items you're decluttering have sentimental value to you. And a lot of times I think that's what we struggle with. It's that emotional connection to things. And every time you go through a box or through your wardrobes, you're having to really connect with those sentimental feelings, and that can be really difficult. So after you've decluttered, why not take yourself out for a coffee or go out for a sandwich or something that feels like a reward for the hard work that you've done in decluttering and starting this process. Or if you didn't want to spend any money, it might be that you just go out for a walk, get some fresh air, give yourself time to think and just have a mental break from the decluttering process. Tip number 6 is to watch minimalist content. When I was sort of gearing up to decluttering, I started to watch minimalist content, and that really gave me a lot of motivation and tips on how to start the process and if there was anything that was going to make the process easier, and also to remind myself of what the benefits were going to be when I got to the end of the decluttering process. I think it's worthwhile to be careful about who you watch. Just remember that decluttering, minimalism, all of this stuff is very individual. We're all in individual situations, we're all different, and some people can be very extreme, I think, in their decluttering and extreme in their minimalism, and that's okay for them. That's what makes them happy. If that's what brings meaning and fulfillment to their life, go for it. I am not an extreme minimalist. I do still want stuff in my house, stuff that obviously I need and that brings me joy, has function, makes me happy. I don't think we can or should put blanket rules on what people should and shouldn't declutter. That being said, there are certainly some mistakes that can be made when it comes to decluttering. So if you want to find out what these are so that you don't make the same mistakes, then check out the video that's on the screen now. Thank you for watching, take care, and I'll see you again soon.